Thanks, everyone. Welcome to meeting 22 of the Environmental Justice Council. We are in Leominster. And before we get started, I'll turn it over to our contractors and friends at ERG, who will provide a review of the logistics and interpretation.
Thank you. So good evening, everyone. My name is Kessel John, and I'm with ERG, and we're going to help the interpretation. Well, we're going to help with the tech tonight. So this presentation is available with virtual interpretation into Spanish, Portuguese, Mandarin Chinese, Vietnamese, Haitian Creole, Cape Verdean Creole, and American Sign Language, or ASL. I'm now going to turn it over to Dan to go over this in each language.
Thank you. The language announcement will now begin. To participate in English, please click interpretation icon and select English. For Portuguese, please.
Para participar em português, clique no ícone Interpretation e selecione Português. Obrigada.
For Spanish, please.
Si alguien desea interpretación en español, haga clic en Interpretación y seleccione Spanish.
For Cape Verdean Creole, please.
Para participar na crioulo, clica na ícone Interpretation e seleciona Cape Verdean Creole.
For Haitian Creole, please.
Pour entrer dans channel créole haïtien, cliquez sur icône interprétation et puis choisir Haitian Creole.
For Mandarin Chinese, please.
要以普通话参加会议，请单击口语图标并选择 Chinese.
For Vietnamese, please.
Để vào kênh bằng tiếng Việt, anh chị vui lòng nhấp vào biểu tượng Interpretation và chọn kênh Vietnamese. Xin cảm ơn quý vị.
Thank you. Language announcement is now completed.
Thank you. I'm now going to turn it on. All right, everyone should have just seen a little globe icon pop up in their Zoom control panel, and this is where you can select your preferred language. English speakers should select English so they can hear any translated comments. Closed captioning is auto-generated in English for this meeting, and it's available by clicking on the CC icon in your Zoom control panel. If for some reason you don't see either the CC icon or the interpretation icon that's a globe, click the More button indicated by 3 dots to the right of your Zoom panel, and a little menu should pop up, and there'll be options there. If you have any audio issues for this meeting, you can switch to telephone audio by clicking on the small arrow next to the audio icon, selecting Switch to Phone Audio, and following the instructions provided. All right, over to you, Sophia.
Thanks, Kessel. Virtual attendees can send an email to meetings@erg.com with any technical questions related to the meeting logistics.
Sorry, Sophia, your audio is a little soft.
Okay, is this any better?
Little closer, maybe?
Is this any better?
There you go.
Okay. If you would like a translated version of the presentation slides, please go to the Environmental Justice Council website at the link in the chat. You will find a translated set of presentation slides there. This meeting is being recorded and will later be available for viewing through a link that will be posted at the Environmental Justice Council website at the same link. Virtual attendees can submit questions in the Q&A box. If you would like to make a comment, we have time allotted during the public comment sessions. Please wait for this time to make comments. During the public comment session, please raise your hand and I can unmute you. If you are commenting in another language, please speak into your language channel and your interpreter will translate the comment into English. Or you may type a comment into the Q&A box and one of us can read it out loud. Please keep comments under 2 minutes to ensure everyone has a chance to speak. In-person attendees who are asking questions, please make sure to speak into the microphone so virtual attendees can hear you. You can either use the podium or we can bring a handheld mic to you. Additionally, for in-person attendees, we have activities for children available at the table to the side, along with snacks and waters for attendees. For all speakers, please speak slowly to accommodate the interpreters. Please use simple language and minimize the use of acronyms. I would like to remind the council members to only use the chat function for meeting logistics and no other communication in accordance with open meeting law. We are also asking all council members to leave their cameras on for the meeting. Now I'll turn it over to Maria Belen Power to go over agenda and roll call.
Great, thank you, Sophia. And thank you, Kessel and ERG. And thank you to the City of Leominster, to our council members and our contractors at ERG for providing the in-person and virtual options. We really believe that language access is a big part of participation and meaningful participation. We want to make these meetings as accessible as possible. So we are being intentional about going to different communities across the Commonwealth to meet communities where they're at. And thank you to the council members for making the trek if you live far away, and for ERG for helping us make this happen. We are also providing areas for children for play and snacks, and as well as ways of alleviating the cost of coming to the meeting. So really grateful for all of the support. I will now pass it to my colleagues at ERG to do the roll call.
I will now conduct roll call to ensure quorum. I would like to remind all council members to respond verbally. Maria Belen Power.
Present.
Marcos Luna.
Here.
Jen Salonetti.
Present.
Caroline Hahn.
Here.
Cheryl Hawley.
Here.
Kalila Barnett.
Here.
Madeline Fraser Cook.
Here.
Peter Matthey. Patricia Spence. Sophia Owen. Melissa Ferretti. Lydia Lau. Ari Zorn. And Miles Gresham.
Here.
All right, so with 8 members present, we have quorum.
Thank you. And I did forget to, I think the slide of the agenda was before, so I don't know if we could go back to that slide, but we did the roll call, the approval of the minutes. The 2 topics today are the Mass Enviro Screen and Mass Save, and we'll take public comment before Mass Enviro Screen as well as after Mass Save, depending on time and how long we have available, and then next steps. So now I would like to proceed with the approval of the meeting minutes, and we need to approve the minutes from June and August. So for the meeting minutes for June, can I, which was meeting number 20, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes for meeting 20.
Thank you, Cheryl. Is there a second?
I can second.
Thank you. Are there any discussion of the minutes?
Yeah, I don't think that I have a copy of those minutes. If they were sent in last week when we had the Amazon Web Services, that big outage, a bunch of my emails didn't come in. So I'm worried that this was one of them because I am not able to find them. So.
That may also have been on my end because I think these minutes, we needed to approve them in August and we were not able to. So maybe it was lost in those few months. Is that the same case for other folks? Because then we could hold off on approving these minutes. Why don't we do roll call and see if we're able to? Well, I guess we won't. Yeah, let's try to do the roll call to do the minutes. And Khalil, we could send you the minutes maybe during the meeting, my colleague Jonathan can send you
Okay.
the minutes. Great, so Sophia, can you help me do the roll call of the members and members to vote in favor, oppose, or abstain?
Yes, and as a reminder, this is for the meeting held on June 12th. All right, Kalila Barnett,
I'm gonna abstain.
Madeline Fraser Cook,
I approve the minutes.
Melissa Harding Ferretti, Cheryl Hawley, Caroline Hahn, Lydia Lowe, Marcos Luna, approve?
Approve, sorry.
Approve, thanks. Peter Matthey, Sophia Owen, Jen Salonetti,
Approved.
Patricia Spence, Ari Zorn, Miles Gresham,
Approve.
and Maria Belen Power.
Approve.
So we have 7 approve and 1 abstain.
Now we'll go to the approval of the minutes from the last meeting, which was on August 21st, and that would be the meeting number 21. And now if I can get a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from meeting number 21.
Is there a second?
I second. It's Jen Salonetti.
Any discussion of the minutes? Great, so now,
I also don't have these minutes, sorry.
no, that's okay. We'll definitely make sure to send them. And if there's any correction, I'm sure we could do something at the next meeting, Kalila. So now I'll request Sophia again to help us conduct the roll call, and if members can vote to in favor, oppose, or abstain of approving the minutes.
Yes, absolutely, and this is for the August 21st meeting, 21. Kalila Barnett,
Abstain.
Madeline Fraser Cook,
Approve.
Melissa Harding Ferretti, Cheryl Hawley,
Approve.
Caroline Hahn,
Abstain.
Lydia Lau, Marcos Luna,
Approve.
Peter Matthey, Sophia Owen, Jen Salonetti,
Approve.
Patricia Spence, Ari Zorn, Miles Gresham,
Approve.
and Maria Belen Power.
Approve.
So 6 approve, 2 abstain.
Thank you. Thank you, Sophia. And so now we will go to the next part of the agenda, which is public comment. We have made it a point to have public comment at the beginning of the meeting as well as at the end of the meeting to make sure that folks who want to speak but can't stay for the whole time are able to do so. And now I will pass it again to my colleagues at ERG to help us with the instructions of the public comment and the logistics.
Yes, thank you. Folks who are making an in-person comment, please either go up to the podium to speak, or if you're unable to walk to the microphone, we can bring you a handheld microphone. If you are speaking in a different language, an interpreter will translate your comments. For our virtual attendees, if you are speaking in another language, you can raise your hand, and once you are unmuted, you can speak into your language room. The interpreter will translate what you say into the English room. You can also submit written comments through the Q&A box, and I will read them aloud. Please keep your comments to 2 minutes. Finally, I'd like to remind everyone to speak slowly for our interpreters and to keep your comments to 2 minutes or less so that everyone has a chance to speak. Thank you.
All right. I see two people now with their hands up. All right. Catherine Rodriguez, you should be able to unmute yourself and speak.
Thank you. I've been speaking here, and I spoke at the last meeting. You had come to Taunton last November. But our group has been having a hard time. We've been going in front of the planning board, the zoning board, and we're going to the Board of Health. And we had a candidates forum for the upcoming election. And quite a few of the candidates had no idea about what environmental justice or environmental justice zones was. Actually, one of the candidates said, well, this is all new to me. So I'm wondering, where can we send people that might be interested? Because, you know, we're in an environmental justice zone and we'd like these people to assist us that are in office. What resources are available, or can we recommend, or anything like that? It's like when we speak about it, you know, we're in an environmental justice zone, we're having a problem, and they act like they've never heard of this before.
Yeah, thank you. Well, our office is definitely a resource, so you can email us if you want to meet with us in person, or if you want to give us a call. An email address that's really helpful is ej.inquiries@mass.gov. Is that right, Caroline? Yeah. So ej.inquiries@mass.gov. And for a phone number, maybe in the meantime, my colleague Jonathan can give it to ERG to put it in just the regular phone number. And you can also just reach out to come and meet with us at EEA, and we're also open to coming to Taunton or to other communities. So please definitely see us as a resource.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll spread the word.
All right. Thank you. All right. Next, we have Mary Ann Babinski. Mary Ann, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everybody. The last few days here, happy Halloween. I have some comments and questions about an issue that I brought up at an EJ Council's September 21st, 2023 meeting. And my question then was related to the process of a community group losing their previous EJ designation and then how to get it back or reinstated. I guess there was no set things in motion. Marcos Luna responded to my question, and he was not sure that they had all the answers yet. So, since that time, conversations with EJ state reps have taken place with some residents in Westfield, Mass. Then they were told on several occasions that a community population could petition the state to reinstate their designation by submitting 10 signatures with their request. A group of residents in Westfield followed through and submitted that request, and a meeting was set up with the state EJ representatives that took place in April of this year, finally, after all that time. And to my knowledge, since then, there hasn't been any substantial or substantive information shared by the state with the petitioners from that heritage park. The application process appears to be stalled or to have fallen through the cracks. I don't know which one is true. What should happen next in this process or whether anything has been done to address the petitioner's request is the great unknown at this point to us. So what I'm saying is I know that the state agency has held a set of stakeholder sessions and most recently are in the process of holding public hearings related to those sessions. The state agencies are now finalizing rules and regulations for CIA, citing community benefits, et cetera, as they work to comply with the climate law. What I want to know is what's holding up the specific request of Heritage Park petition? If anybody here knows, I don't know if anybody on the EJ Council can help answer that question. And are things changing in regards to the EJ designation process? And, because I know at some of the meetings that are happening now, that the public hearings, that supposedly the Office of EJ and Equity is going to be working on something that's related to that. So the thing is these people now are hanging in the balance, not knowing which end is up, and they're getting very frustrated and are disappointed, and they're losing faith in this whole system, which I hate to see happening. So that's my question. That's my discouragement I'm sharing. The community residents have been patient up to this point, but they're very frustrated with what's going on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Marianne. I mean, I remember the meetings and the conversations. One of the topics today actually is the Mass Enviro Screen, which is one of the tools that will help us with the siting and permitting and cumulative impact analysis. And so I hate to say that we're working on a process, but we really are, I promise. And we hope that this tool that we're going to cover today, the Mass Enviro Screen, might help us sort of finalize that process on how do we measure, how do we gauge, how do we analyze a petition for dedesignation, or redesignation. So the tool that we are working on is only for citing and permitting and does not replace the definition of environmental justice population, but it is a complementary tool to help us identify burden areas. So hopefully after today, folks will have comments and questions, and once the tool goes out for public comment and approved, we hope that it will help us in that process, but we are talking about it, and we're talking about it very often, even though it's hard to see from the outside on how to make the process meaningful.
Could I give a word of advice?
Sure.
I think going forward, whatever you're doing, the whole thing is this group knew of a process that existed before, and we're following up on it. If this change was happening, this is like a moving target, and they don't know. The person that just spoke before me saying the same thing. Some people don't know what EJ is. At the state it was when they first applied or sent in their petition, that was the process. They were told, this is what you have to do, and this will go forward. Now, behind the scenes, you're changing things without letting them or informing them. They're hanging there wondering what the heck is going on. They lose face. They don't want to pay attention. People have said to me, we give up. Don't talk to us anymore. That's not a good thing. That is not a good thing. If this was going on behind the scenes, some of these people in particular, it would have been helpful to have them be informed that you're trying to do something different. But if in the process of doing something different, something else happens, you have to change it again, you see what you're doing to the residents. Development is going on. They don't have that leverage anymore. They lost it, and they could have had a way to get it returned. And now I know that this is, some of the hints were passed along at the last session that I listened to, the public hearing. But please let these people know formally what's going on. I hate to do that because I approve it and appreciated the work that you are all doing from the very get-go. And this makes it difficult to try to explain to the residents here. Thank you very much.
Sure. I'll just clarify quickly. I may have not been as clear. we're not changing a process. So the process that is in statute is that a group of residents can petition to be considered for de-designation. There is no process for EEA to consider that request or that designation, what metrics are used or what criteria is used. And so we're not changing a process where we actually have to build one to be able to take in requests from different communities. And so we are having as many sessions and as many public meetings about it. We've had several stakeholder sessions about the cumulative impact analysis. And today we're going to share a bit about the Mass Enviro Screen, which has not gone out yet to public comment. So this is sort of the first that we're sharing. It still needs to go out for public comment, and then we can also schedule, another meeting, because I know this will be the first time the council sort of hears or sees about the Mass Enviro Screen. But I guess, just wanted to clarify that we're not changing a process. We have to create
and I
one.
think you missed my point was then that particular group should have been given some kind of a status or information instead of waiting for this to happen, because they know that this was going to happen, and some of them did not want to even bother because they didn't think it would be worth it because of what has happened or hasn't happened as far as the communications. That's the point I'm trying to stress here. They've already gone through that other process. If things were being held up for some other reason, it would have been nice if they received some kind of information from the state.
Yep. No, I hear that, and I totally agree. Thank you. Great. So now, do we have another? I think we need to go to the presentation.
In the interest of time, yes, I think we should go into the presentations now, and there will be time for additional public comment, time allowed. There will be an additional opportunity for public comments at the end.
Okay, great. So we're going to transition to the presentation about the Mass Enviro Screen, which will be presented jointly by myself and my colleague Saina Mashmasarmi. So I'm going to kick it off, and I think you can share slide. Yep, there you go. So maybe, Jonathan, can you give me like a heads up when the slide changes? Because I'll be asking. Okay. Great. So we are here to talk about a draft Mass Enviro Screen. And the idea is that this tool will help us identify burden areas for cumulative impact analysis for the siting of energy infrastructure. And so basically what we have to do is we had to develop a tool to help us identify the communities that will require a cumulative impact analysis for the siting of energy infrastructure. So next. Great. So it is a tool, and the tool will give us a cumulative burden score for every census block in the state. And so it uses a combination of environmental, health, climate, and socioeconomic information to identify the communities. And the idea is to have this tool be transparent, collaborative, and equitable so that we can see the full picture of all communities in Massachusetts. Next. So the sort of the genesis of this is of this sort of cumulative impact is from the 2024 Climate Act. And it is the Act to Advance Clean Energy, Equity, and Protect Ratepayers. And what it does, the law in 2024, it formally established our office, so it enshrined into law, the Office of Environmental Justice and Equity. And it sort of calls on us to implement environmental justice principles of Section 2 in Chapter 30, which are below. And so the two principles, I would say, you could sort of read it for yourself, but if there's anything that you take away from it, is that there are two environmental justice principles. One is meaningful involvement, and the other one is equitable distribution. And so first, making sure that folks are at the table and involved in decision making, and second, that there is an equitable distribution of energy and environmental, both benefits and burdens. And so part of the 2024 climate law, it called on us to develop guidance regarding the cumulative impact analysis so that that would shape the regulatory process and the final regulations of the Energy Facility Siting Board. Next. So for the purpose of the cumulative impact and cumulative burden, I know that sometimes they're used interchangeably, but the Mass EnviroScreen will basically be a data-driven tool to support the work. And cumulative impact really refers to sort of the totality of exposures that one community faces, from environmental to climate, and how that affects our health and quality of life. And really, the reality across Massachusetts looks very different from community to community, and so this map and this tool is trying to capture the different barriers and the different stressors, I guess, that communities face. And it is meant to be sort of one tool that will be, hopefully, ideally, easy to use, not just for the state or project proponents or developers, but also for communities to be able to go in and look at their community and understand the burdens and the barriers in their own communities as it relates to the whole state. Next. So before handing it off to my colleague Saina, I'll just share quickly, the tool is being developed by our office, but we are working very closely with several of our state agencies and our GIS teams. We are also working with academic, GIS, and public health experts, and with community-based organizations and environmental justice advocates, as well as tribal governments and indigenous representatives. So we've had, I would say, over a dozen sort of stakeholder sessions and meetings with stakeholders. I will say, though, the process, so if you haven't heard of it, don't be, surprised. When I say these stakeholder sessions, they were within the context of cumulative impact analysis and the 2024 climate law, the Climate Act. And so this is the first time that we are sort of coming to the public. Again, it hasn't gone out for public comment, so this is sort of early discussion. And before it goes out, sort of not live, but out for public comment. And so just in its nature, it's meant to be an iterative and collaborative tool, and it is both meant to reflect data as well as lived experiences. And again, the goal is for a tool to reflect the diversity of the realities of people that live across the Commonwealth. In its current, right now it's in draft form, so we are definitely taking all feedback and comments into what will hopefully shape out to be a great tool, Mass EnviroScreen tool for everyone to use. And so now I'll pass it over to my colleague Saina, who will walk us through the rest of the slides.
Thank you, Undersecretary Power. Next slide, please. So before I jump in to the methodology and sort of the nuts and bolts behind the Mass EnviroScreen, wanted to just start by saying that this is not a new concept, as much as I would like to take credit, or the state would like to take credit, that this tool was first developed by California's Environmental Protection Agency over 10 years ago, and it is called the Cal EnviroScreen, and it's been replicated by several other states since, such as Michigan and Colorado. which is to say we retain much of the original methodology in this version, but have had conversations to make sure that it is personalized to Massachusetts. So the Mass and Virus Screen, as Undersecretary Power mentioned earlier, analyzes the intersections between pollution and climate burden and population vulnerability, and this can be further broken down into 5 major components or categories of indicators, which include environmental exposure, environmental effects, climate risk, sensitive populations, and socioeconomic factors. The first 3 categories or bullets on the screen describe the type of pollution and climate burdens that communities experience. And so this includes environmental exposure indicators, which are based on measurements of different type of pollution that people might come into contact with, environmental effect indicators, which are based on the locations of toxic chemicals in or near communities that can cause adverse environmental conditions, and lastly, climate risk indicators, which speaks to a community's level of climate exposure, exposure to climate hazards. The last 2 categories and bullets on the slide are what are considered to be population characteristics and describe conditions that can make people or communities more vulnerable to the burdens mentioned above, and that includes sensitive population indicators, which measure the prevalence of physiological or health conditions in a community, and socioeconomic factor indicators, which are conditions that may increase people's stress or make healthy living difficult and decrease capacity to adapt. Next slide. So on this slide, you'll see the list of all 30 indicators which currently inform the Mass and Virus Screen cumulative burden score. As you can see here or on the slide, they are separated into the group component scores by pollution and climate burden and population characteristics. Going from left to right, in terms of pollution and climate burden, we have environmental exposures, which include things like air pollutants like fine particulate matter or PM2.5 and ozone. Under environmental effects, we include indicators like proximity to hazardous waste sites or impaired water bodies. Under climate risks, we include indicators like flood risk and extreme heat. And then moving on to the 2 components which make up the population characteristics, we have sensitive population indicators, which capture health factors such as rates as pediatric asthma and premature mortality. And under socioeconomic factors, we look at things such as linguistic isolation, rates of poverty, and unemployment. And while I wish we had more time to go into detail about every indicator on this list, once the Mass and Virus Screen tool is published, there will be a document accompanying the tool that describes each indicator in detail, the rationale for including it, the methodology for calculating it, and the source of each data set. So now that we've seen what's included, at least briefly, I'm going to explain how all these data points come together to produce a single cumulative burden score for each census block group. Next slide, please.
Thank you. And could you slow down slightly for our interpreters?
Yes, sorry.
Thank you very much. No worries.
So for each indicator, we calculate a percentile rank across all census block groups statewide. We then average those percentile ranks within each component, so we get an average score for environmental exposures, one for environmental effects, and so on. We then group these component scores into the 2 main categories that I mentioned before, the first of which is pollution and climate burden, and the second, which are those population characteristics. To generate the final cumulative burden score, we multiply the pollution and climate burden by we multiply the pollution and climate burden and the population characteristics score together, and the result is a single value that represents the overall pollution and climate burden and population burden for each community. These cumulative burden scores also represent percentile ranks, which means that a community score also indicates the percentage of scores in a group that are equal to or higher than a given score. For example, if a community receives a score of 75 or higher, that means that that particular community experiences cumulative burdens equal to or greater than 75% of all census block groups in the state. Next slide. And so the result of this process and model is that higher scores will indicate greater combined environmental and social vulnerability. And following this process, to be considered what we will be calling burdened areas, those communities will meet one or both of the following criteria. They will either have a mass EnviroScreen score at or above the 75th percentile, or the second criteria is that the census block group has an annual median household income that is 65% or less of the statewide median. Next slide. So on this slide, you'll see a screenshot of what that currently looks like. And this is a map of burden areas on the Mass EnviroScreen. And this is the demo version. All the areas shown in red represent the designated burden areas. And those are all the burden areas regardless of which criteria they fall into. And based on this criteria, 34.5% of census block groups in Massachusetts would be designated as burdened areas. And when a user or project applicant, for the purposes of the cumulative impact analysis process, but it will also be publicly available for anyone to use, and when a person selects a specific area on the map or a specific census block group, they will be able to view all of the relevant indicators and values. Next slide. So right now, the Mass EnviroScreen is intended to support the cumulative impact analysis process by identifying communities that face multiple overlapping burdens and enhancing transparency to visually show where certain burdens coincide, and to highlight burden areas for further review and analysis during the siting and permitting process. What the tool is not intended to do is speak to causation or liability, meaning we are not looking to prove that pollution or a source of pollution directly causes specific health problems, or that any particular source is responsible for environmental or health effects in a given area. It is not intended to create or replace site-specific CIA reports, which require detailed project information from project applicants, and it is not intended to define all areas affected by environmental or specific environmental risks, meaning that the tool is a snapshot of the data at one point in time and may miss certain locations, so certain local conditions, risks, and other things that may be present in a community. And lastly, it does not correlate to regulatory thresholds, meaning that higher indicator values, because they are compared statewide, it does not necessarily mean that there is a regulatory violation or that it has surpassed a federal or state standard for that specific indicator. And with that, I'll also say that these are the initial and immediate uses for the Mass EnviroScreen, but we continue to look to refine the tool and continue to explore how it can serve both policy and community-driven needs. And we hope to continue to have conversations with both the EJ Council and the public to refine the tool and think about how it can support environmental justice across the Commonwealth, which brings me to the next slide. And this is how you can engage and provide feedback and some next steps regarding the Mass EnviroScreen. So there will be more public meetings and more opportunities to provide feedback on the Mass EnviroScreen tool. Next Thursday, November 6th, we'll actually have a CIA webinar to talk about how the Mass EnviroScreen connects to the cumulative impact analysis process, but there will be other opportunities. You can also provide written or review and provide written comment on the online web application and indicators. As I mentioned, the Mass EnviroScreen isn't currently, or the web application isn't currently live, but will be released in the time between this meeting and the CIA webinar next week. And so you will be able to use the online web application, see the communities or the burden areas that are represented, and also look at the indicators and into the details of how the indicators were calculated. And we hope that through your written comment, or if you choose to give comment today, you're able to share your local knowledge. If there's any data that you feel is missing or lived experience or priorities that you would have for the tool or that could help the tool be more accurate, equitable, and actionable, we would appreciate all of that as we continue to refine the Mass Enviroscreen. So as we accept public comment, as we continue to refine the data and indicators, we will also work on improving the mapping, the usability, and the visualization features. We'll continue to include or integrate public input into the final version. We are still meeting with some of the experts and other groups that Undersecretary Power mentioned earlier, and eventually we hope to release a finalized tool with full documentation, and which includes FAQs, user guides, and then again that technical documentation. Next slide. Yeah, and I think that concludes this part of the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Saina. And I know that was a lot that we just sort of, maybe not dumped, but that we just presented to you all. So I know it will take some time to process, and if you have sort of feedback either in writing or verbal, I'm happy to take some questions now, although I do acknowledge that this is sort of the first time you're seeing this. So one other thought I had is also to have a special meeting between this meeting and our next meeting, just to sort of discuss it if folks are interested in that. And like Saina mentioned, there's a webinar next Thursday about the cumulative impact analysis, which includes the Mass Enviroscreen. So I think I'll pause a little bit if there are sort of initial questions or reactions or thoughts that folks have, that council members have.
I have a question. Thank you very much for the presentation as well. It is interesting and lots to mull over. I was just wondering, did you consider, as you're looking at the 30 factors that build up the score, weighting any of them differently, or are they all, like they're all equally weighted now?
Yes, so within each component category, all the indicators are weighted equally, but there are two components that are half weighted within the pollution and climate burden group component score. And so that is the climate risk category and the environmental effects category. Those are both half weighted when compared to the environmental exposures category.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Can't see the screen. I see Madeline has her hand up. Go ahead, Madeline.
I think so. First of all, can we take the presentation down so that I could see folks? Because I've got the thank you slide. Great, thanks.
I'm turning my back because I'm looking at the screen.
Yeah, no worries. So there are a couple of things that I was thinking about as you were presenting. Thank you so much for running through that. That was really helpful. But I was thinking, in terms of this tool, I think it's going to be really important to keep it solidly grounded in the data. And so I was just curious when I saw, I think one of the bullet points was, is there any, public input in terms of, is there any missing data, but along with that lived experience? So I think we need to, if that is something that you are thinking of including, being a little bit more transparent about how you include that and how that connects really solidly to the data and keeps it grounded in data, so that down the road when this tool is being used, that you have that kind of that strong data-driven decision-making foundation. So that was one thought. And then the other thought as you were presenting was, I think it would be helpful if people had more, guidance around how to make it actionable. What is this tool, in a community advocacy context? How can community members, advocacy groups use this tool to make their case for, whatever the conversation is? Because sometimes these tools maybe aren't, it's not very clear about what the best use of them is. And then I think just having some kind of deeper community engagement or training or website or something where people can really solidly understand how to best use the tool to their benefit, so that it's not over promising what the tool can do in the context of these discussions. So those were just two thoughts, as you know, as I'm seeing this for the first time, that came across my head, and wanted to share that and put it out there for consideration. Thanks.
I think that makes a lot of sense in terms of, now that Mike is over here, in terms of the transparency on how we take feedback and incorporate it, but also how people can use it, the usability for folks, for communities. This particular, the context for this one right now is the siting of energy infrastructure. So we can certainly have a workshop around that, but I agree with you in terms of what else is it meant to do, and sort of not over-promising as well. Thank you. Well, if there are, like I said, we do offer up sort of a meeting in between now and our next meeting to sort of maybe go through it in more detail. But we will have a webinar next Thursday that we would love for folks to join, and that will also include a presentation by the Energy Facility Siting, the Department of Public Utilities, which staffs the EFSB, the Energy Facility Siting Board. And so I think with that, we will move forward to our next presentation. And sorry, I'm laughing because there was a little music going on. It's okay. So the next presentation will be Joanne Bodemer, who I believe is on the video call. And she is our Energy Efficiency Director at the Department of Energy Resources. And so she will be presenting on our state's energy efficiency program, which is called Mass Save, and helps residents and businesses save money on energy bills. She will be focusing on some of their equity-centered work, and actually her colleague, Alicia Flood, is also, I believe, on the call, Environmental Justice Senior Lead at DOER, but really grateful, Joanne, for you joining us and sharing some of the work on Mass Save, and yeah, I'll pass it to you.
Thank you, Undersecretary. Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here and kind of give you an overview about Mass Save. And this relates to the 2025 to 2027 3-year plan. And if you can move to the next slide. We already did the introduction. What I have today is, I thought before we jumped into some of the specifics of the new 3-year plan, to kind of provide a foundation of the basic plan structure and how each sector is delivered, and provide a quick sample customer journey. And then I could talk about some of the new initiatives and the equity focus that is in the plan. So next slide. So at a high level, the plan is put together with a bunch of initiatives and measures. So a measure might be a lighting measure, or an initiative could be that we are going to install weatherization. That would be an initiative. And all of those measures and initiatives roll up into multiple programs. So there is a whole house program. There is a low income whole house program. And then those programs are divided into 3 sectors. There are 3 sectors in the Mass Save plan. There is the residential sector, the low income sector, and then a commercial and industrial sector. And the names kind of really speak for themselves. The low income serves our most vulnerable residential customers. Our residential sector serves everybody else that is a resident. And then our commercial and industrial sector serves our businesses of all sizes. And those three sectors make the portfolio, which is the 3-year plan. Okay, next slide. So now I'm going to take some quickly run through a little bit more detail of the residential sector. Eligibility, there's two components of the residential sector. We have our moderate income customers that would be earning between 61 and 80% of either the area median income or the state median income, whichever would include them in the moderate income category. And then everybody else is considered market rate. There are several program pathways for a customer to participate. And I'm not going to go into detail about it, but there's turnkey, which includes fully facilitated programs where we support a customer from the beginning to the end. There is rebates, which is just exactly what it sounds like, where you purchase an efficient product and you submit an application, you get a rebate. We have new homes or new construction for addressing newly constructed homes. And we have our connected solutions, which is really the active demand management. When you have a smart thermostat in your home and it controls your heating, that could participate in our connected solutions program. And if you are willing to turn your air conditioner up to like go from 70 to 72 during a high heat day, we would pay you for reducing your demand during that high demand period. And that's our Connected Solutions program. Next slide. Okay, multiple delivery channels. We have a heat pump installer network that delivers heat pumps to residents. They are supported and trained through the program. And we have a certain level in a heat pump called heat pump installer network, that are called leaders. And these leaders have shown distinguish themselves with higher quality contractors providing extraordinary service. We have home performance contractors, which kind of think of them like general contractors. If you contacted Mass Save or they would reach out to you, they could provide you all of all the services through Mass Save, plus do any other home improvement project that you may want to do that's over and above Mass Save. They do it all. We offer programs through a lead vendor that provides free home energy assessments to customers through our lead vendors. And then the last channel is through mail-in rebates. Next slide. And this is a typical customer journey if you are a moderate income customer, which we serve all moderate income customers through our turnkey program, which means they're fully supported through their program. They can come in through different sources. They can contact Mass Save directly. They could work with a home performance contractor, or they can get a referral from one of what we call our community first partners. But no matter how they come in, they will receive a free home energy assessment. Their income will be verified. And then the lead vendor, the way I was talking about that lead vendor model, the lead vendor will serve as a general contractor and provide all of the work, review the bids, and that customer just needs to say, okay, I'll be home on Saturday. That weatherization contractor can come in. It is fully facilitated. And our moderate income program is at no cost to customers. It is 100% incentives. So it is, once they're in the program, everything is provided to that customer at no cost. And then there's post-installation quality assurance, and we have a happy customer. So that's a typical moderate income residential customer journey. Next slide. Income eligible is for residential customers earning less than 60% of the state median income. There is a current budget required by statute for at least 10% of the electric program administrator's budget and 20% of the gas program administrator's budget to be dedicated to support the delivery of programs to income eligible. We'll get to a later slide. We have far exceeded that requirement. There's several pathways. There's the single family, which is considered 1 to 4 units, multifamily, which is 5 or more units, and then we have a multifamily deep energy retrofit where we would work with a building that is 5 or more units and do a comprehensive energy efficiency and decarbonization work. So envelope weatherization, air sealing, heat pumps, appliances on a deep level. So that's the income eligible sector. Next slide. And multiple channels, similar to the residential, there's a lead vendor, and then we have a home performance contractors that also work in income eligible. And we partner, which is the biggest difference between residential, with our community action agencies. Community action agencies in the state deliver all of the federal programs like weatherization assistance, or WAP, or LIHEAP, which is the low income heating assistance program. And they also deliver SNAP benefits. Let's put aside what might happen on Saturday, but they will help income eligible customers access the federal programs. And they work with Mass Save to deliver the Mass Save income eligible program. It is like the moderate income program that I just described, fully facilitated. They call it quarterbacked. So an income eligible customer, no matter how they come in, whether through a home performance contractor or through a CAP, they are everything is fully taken care of for them, and everything is 100% paid. Next slide. Okay, I'm not going to go through the sample journey. It's very similar to the moderate income journey, except the CAP, the Community Action Agency, is part of this process. Next slide. And this goes over their project management, LEAN, which is the Low Income Action Network. They are really the network of CAP agencies. They oversee everything and follow through a customer as they begin to the end, which is quality control. And it is a very hands-on, a customer is fully supported throughout the process. Next slide. Okay. Part of the income eligible program is their statewide client services center. It is offered in multiple languages. It is supported by the staff of ABCD, which is one of the larger CAP agencies operating in Boston. They provide eligibility screening. They work with the utilities to ensure that the customers receive all of their benefits through the Mass Save program. So it is like a one-stop shopping for income eligible customers. Next slide. The last sector, the C&I sector, is our commercial and industrial. It's all commercial buildings, no matter what size, our small business, all the way up to a 50-story commercial building in Boston. We have multiple pathways, much like residential, new construction, existing buildings, rebates, and then a special pathway just for small businesses. Next slide. multiple channels to deliver these programs. The small business program is fully turnkey, again, fully supported, meaning contractors are provided. It is very hands-on and supported for our small business customers. And then we have a rebate program, and we have account executives that work with our larger commercial customers, because to do energy efficiency or building decarbonization in a large commercial building is a process. And so we have a dedicated account executives to work with building owners to help them transition and adopt clean energy and efficiency measures over time. Next slide. And this would be a typical small business customer journey. Small business customers are one of our equity groups. And so again, all of the services that are provided to small business customers is through a facilitated program model, that turnkey model. And our weatherization component is paid for at 100%. And then it's got pretty significant incentives for other work through the small business program. Next slide. Okay, so now we're at the fun stuff. This is what is new for 25 to 27. We'll go to the next slide. Equity. Equity is a major focus for the 25 to 27 three-year plan. We have an equity working group that is part of the Energy Efficiency Advisory Council that worked tirelessly to develop a strong equity expression in our three-year plan. It dedicates $1.78 billion to support our equity initiatives. Nearly 40% of the three-year plan budget is in equity. We are supporting rental properties in designated equity communities, which I will get to in a minute, where 100%, if you are a renter and you are living in a designated equity community, your landlord can provide these services and at no cost. 100% for weatherization, heat pumps, appliances, everything, all barriers. So if you had knob and tube wiring or asbestos, all of that would be taken care of through the program at no cost if you're in a designated equity community. Low moderate income heat pumps, we have increased those from the last term from 16,000 homes receiving heat pumps to nearly 27,000 homes to receive heat pumps over this term. And again, at no cost to the customer. It was an important element of the program to try to make up for in the early years. So Mass Save has been delivering programs since 2010, and 2010 was the first three-year plan, and it was heavily focused on market rate customers, and there was a lot of dollars that were directed to market rate customers. I don't want to say intentionally, but that's the way that the program was played out. And now we are focusing in on bringing Mass Save dollars into communities that have historically underparticipated in the program, and to restore distributive justice, and also to serve customers that have historically underparticipated. And those customer groups are renters, small businesses, low and moderate income customers. Those are our equity subsets. Next slide. Okay, designated equity communities. There are 21 across the Commonwealth, and they were selected because they have a high proportion of rental properties as well as low and moderate income customers. As I mentioned before, they were chosen with significant input from the equity working group. And as I noted, rental properties automatically eligible for 100% incentives for the big weatherization, heat pumps, and barrier mitigation. And I will get to it in a later slide, but most of the designated equity communities are also a community first partnership. Next slide. These are the 21 DECs. You guys should be able to get a copy of this. I'm not going to read through them. But again, selected because of the high percentage of low, moderate income and renters. Boston is listed here, but you need to understand that it's not all of Boston. It is Boston, but with certain zip codes. Next slide. Okay, community first partners. Community First Partners started last term, and it basically supports certain communities that apply to be a partner of Mass Save, and we provide them with grant funding to hire support staffs. We call them energy advocates, and they go out into the community and try to bring people into the Mass Save program. And we support them with marketing material, with multilingual support if that is required in our community CFPs, we call them. And we also provide improved data access for our community first partners so they can target where there might be opportunities in their community to bring people who haven't participated into the program. We are, I think, community first partners are probably the one thing that I am the most passionate about. I truly believe our communities are our front line to bringing efficiency and clean energy to our communities. Partnering with leaders in the community or community-based organizations to reach out to their neighbors is the right thing to do. It's having people that we trust reach out to us and work with us to bring us into these programs. So that's the community first partners. Next slide. And here are the list of the CFPs for this current plan. There are 57 of them, if I recall correctly. Okay, next slide. Language access. The PAs are dedicated to serving customers in the language that is their primary language. We offer language services in the 7 most commonly spoken languages in the Commonwealth. We are trying to expand that language access service. So a customer that starts however they begin will be served in their preferred language until they are done with the program. So whatever measure they are getting is fully installed. So contracts would be in their native language. The discussions with professionals would be in their native language. That is our ultimate goal. We're getting there. We have a lot of our documents and websites already available in multiple languages, but it is a big effort, and that's our commitment, is to ensure that we can work with customers in the language that they prefer. Next slide. We have launched a evolved decarbonization home energy assessment, which again is provided to all customers, small business and all residential customers at no cost. So everybody here can get a no cost home energy assessment. An energy auditor will come to your home, spend a couple of hours with you going through your house, showing you where you can adopt measures that the program can provide assistance with, and to make your house more energy efficient. If your house is more, or the space in which you live in, your home or rental is more efficient, you will save on your energy bills. And what is enhanced about it is now we will talk about and provide information on all services that are available in the state, even if Mass Save doesn't provide incentives. So we will give you some information on solar, on EV charging, on another program that provides loans and support for clean energy investment through the climate bank, the energy saver loan. So all of that is combined in this home energy report that a customer would receive. Next slide. And this, it goes over what I just said, the content of the new HEA. Next slide. I talked about this earlier, the turnkey delivery pathway. It is now expanded for this term to support moderate income customers statewide and all rental properties and designated equity communities. They will work with trusted vendors and they will have everything end-to-end project support at no cost to the customer. Next slide. Workforce development and diversity. It's something that I worked strongly to ensure was represented in the 3-year plan. The PAs have committed to an aspirational benchmark to ensure that 15% of the dollar volume of direct mass save contracts are with diverse suppliers. In addition, we have other initiatives to help increase the opportunities for returning citizens to work within the Mass Save program. And lastly, we have dedicated resources of over 24 million to help train and develop workforce for the Mass Save program in multiple languages and more diversity of our contracting. Next slide. Another key new element for this 3-year plan is the Mass Save Solution Center. It will be launching in 2 weeks. It will provide comprehensive multilingual support for all residential and small business customers statewide that are looking to engage or adopt energy efficiency or clean energy technologies. They will provide technical support. They will answer all your questions, what you may have. How do I get a home energy assessment? They'll answer that. I have 3 quotes for a heat pump and I'm really confused. What do I do? They will direct you to the right technical advisor to get you that assistance. And it will be provided in I think we are using that on-demand language access, and we'll have over 250 languages that we could connect with customers on. That's through the phone. We can communicate via chat or email. It will be a comprehensive support system for all customers, residential and small business. We're super excited about this too. Next slide. We just launched a heat pump hot water heater online marketplace. Believe it or not, a lot of our energy when in our homes is through heating our hot water to take hot showers, have hot water to wash our dishes. It uses a tremendous amount of energy, and heat pump hot water heaters. So it's like the same technology for heat pumps that could deliver cooling and heating for your home. That same technology to heat your hot water or heat your water to make it hot is now available, and we have a dedicated online marketplace to help get these products into customers' homes. Next slide. We also offer decarbonization consultations. That is virtual. You can sign up for them online. You will work with a consultant to kind of explain to you the technology. What's a heat pump? I don't get it. Go through your bids. When I was talking about before, I have 3 bids, don't know which one I should do. Is this the right thing for my home? So you can set up a consultation. There's half-hour consultations and I believe 15-minute and half-hour consultations. And since we've launched them, they have been widely received. If we go to the next slide, I think I have some stats. Nope, I know. So go back, Wim. I'm sorry. We've offered, it's on this one, a total of 2,930 since February of 2024. It is now available in Spanish and Portuguese, and we continue to expand our language access through these virtual decarb assessments. Okay, so that is my quick run through of Mass Save. In the appendix, we can just quickly go through. I won't talk about them. Here's our progress since 2013. You could look at some of the achievements we've had. Next slide. This is what we plan to do in this 3-year term. Of importance for you is weatherizing 69,000 low and moderate income homes and investing over close to $1.8 billion in equity related investments, with 1.2 billion of that going to our low and moderate income customers. Next slide. The other key feature that I just quickly, one of the key elements are performance incentives. It's the incentive for the utility program administrators to deliver energy efficiency. And we tied 50% of that opportunity, that performance incentive, to the achievement of the equity outcomes. So if they want to earn this money, they need to deliver on equity, which this is a unprecedented performance incentive. It's never been this way in Massachusetts, and I'm not aware of anywhere else that so much of it is tied to equity. So I'm going to stop there, and I think we have, if anybody has questions, I'm more than happy to answer any questions, and if we can't get to them now, I can provide you my email address and you can shoot me an email, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you.
We can put down the slides, just stop sharing, I guess. So I'll open it up for the council members to ask questions to you, Joanne. I'll keep an eye on the clock, but I think we do have time for a few questions. So we'll start with Dr. Luna, and then others can raise their hand, but we'll go with you, Marcos.
Thank you, Joanne. That was great. And I really appreciate all the emphasis and the metrics that are presented in equity. I have one recommendation on that, though, having looked through the plan and also looked at the data dashboard that's currently up there, which I realize might change. It'd be great to have some of this data, particularly like renters, does not appear to be one of the metrics or one of the data sets that's available to see the uptake by renters, and that's like one of the key equity groups. It'd be great to see that. Same thing with limited English speaking households, because that's another key group. And also in reporting that, it's good to see the total numbers of households served or homes served, but it'd be great to see percentages over time, so that's a little bit, we can wrap our heads around like what kind of progress is being made there. Because I think, we can see the actual numbers, but it's hard to know, like, is that a big number or is that a small number, because we're dealing with the whole state. So I think that would be helpful. And I have a quick, maybe not be a quick question, but I'm curious because the plan highlights that one of the sources of funding for electrification of low-income households is the Inflation Reduction Act. And I'm just curious if you can speak to that, whether or not that's still going to be available or what's on tap. Thanks.
So first, let me talk about data. We do get quarterly reports that will be posted on the Energy Efficiency Advisory Council website under reporting that will have drop-down menus that you can slice data by renters low income, moderate income, non-renters, non-income residents and stuff. So that is being reported, and and a lot of your other, I think first look at the quarterly report that we're going to get a new one soon and see where you may want additional data. And then my email address is my name, Joanne.Bodemer with the number 2 @mass.gov. And you can shoot because I was listening to you, but I don't know, I didn't write it all down. So you can send me some of the other data that you would like to see. And the one last thing on data is that we will be receiving zip code data and participation by zip code. So that's a new feature, and that will happen yearly. So that might answer some of your other, want to see the impacts of participation. So that's one. And then as far as your last question was about, now it escaped me, I'm sorry. What
The
was your last
Inflation
question?
Reduction Act funding, yeah.
Thank you. So right now we're doing everything that we need to do in order to receive the HERE funding, which will be included in the Mass Save program and delivered to income eligible and moderate income customers in the state. And we have no indication that we will not receive the funds at this point. So we continue to work with the Department of Energy and awaiting to get final approval.
Thank you, Marcos and Joanne. Other comment or question? Great. Well, thank you, Joanne, so much. I know it's late in the evening, and really appreciate you coming and sharing all the info.
I don't think they can hear you online.
We can.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, okay, I'll turn back. Well, thank you, Joanne. I know it's late in the evening, and I just really appreciate you coming and sharing.
Yeah, thank you. And again, my email was just put up. And if anybody you're thinking about it, have any questions about anything about Mass Save, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk about the plan.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, so that brings us to a close. Our next meeting will be on December 4th. It's weird with the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. We were trying to find a time sort of between now and the end of the year that doesn't fall within those few weeks. So December 4th, and we have two options. So we've been looking through the list of locations that we've been to and that we want to go to. Some folks had expressed sort of a request for staying in the greater Boston for next time. So anyways, there's two options, and I would love for folks to maybe give me your choice, Roxbury or Orange. I know those are very, very far apart locations. Why don't we do this? Why don't you actually send me an email on what you prefer? And then we'll get the information out there for folks both in Roxbury or Orange to come and join the meeting. And of course, we'd love to have everyone, but understand that not everyone can come to Boston or to Orange in person. Okay, and as a reminder, our virtual attendees, if you please can complete the evaluation questions at the end of the Zoom webinar. And can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I think Cheryl, well, both Cheryl. I think I heard Khalil afterwards. Thank you. Any discussion? No, great. So I'll request Sophia to do the roll call to adjourn.
Yes, of course. So roll call to adjourn. Invite everyone to please respond verbally. Leela Barnett.
Yes.
Madeline Fraser Cook.
Yes.
Melissa Harding Ferretti. Cheryl Hawley. Caroline Hahn.
Yes.
Lydia Little. Marcos Luna,
Yes.
Peter Maffey, Sophia Owen, Jen Salonetti,
Yes.
Patricia Spence, Ari Zorn, Miles Gresham,
Yes.
and Maria Bellet Power.
Yes. Thank you. So the time is 8:03 and the meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.